Hey, welcome to Hixxy Studio, our second Facebook Live of the day, and in fact our second Facebook Live ever. Thank you to everyone who tuned in earlier. I think some of my nerves hopefully have started to go a little bit. So we're on with two more projects this afternoon. So I have this one here, which is using an edge ball from Yvonne Creations. I think that's right. I'm guessing myself now. This one is Star Border. Okay, and we're just going to look at a nice simple card with that one. And the second one that I'll be doing is this diamond easel card with a 3D embossing folder from Nellie Snellin. It's called Holly, Leaves and Berries, I believe, and it's a beautifully deep embossing folder. Okay, so I'm going to put this one to one side and we're going to get on with this one. Okay, so the products that I am going to be using for this are quite straightforward. It's white stamping card. It's this beautiful border die, Christmas sentiment from Creative Expressions, and for I'm doing that upside down. I just realised, sorry. And for the pattern, I am just using literally the Pixie Sparkles Green Bay. That's it. That's all that I am using for this card. So it's really simple and effective. So we're going to start by creating a background that we can use for this. So I'm going to put the die to the side, and you will need pretty much a whole sheet for this, which is why I'm using a whole A4 sheet. So this Pixie Sparkles, this Green Bay, is beautiful. I have to say, of the ones that I have been able to use so far, this has to be my favourite because it's more than just green. There's a very sort of teal edge to it with some dark blue in it. It's just really pretty. Now, if you watched earlier, I did a background where I made the card wet first and then put the Pixie Sparkles on. I'm going to do it the other way this time, and I'm going to put the Pixie Sparkles onto the background and then spray, because I don't need quite such an intense background this time. So literally I am just tapping the bottom, and it really doesn't look very much. The whole magic happens when you spray with water. So I'm just having a quick look to see if I've kind of covered most of where I want to see some different little coloured pigment pieces coming out there. So yeah, so for the moment it looks ridiculous. It looks like I've done absolutely nothing. We're going to put that to one side. I'm not going to put it away because I might want a little bit more. And I'm going to get the spray bottle out, perhaps one that has some water in. Might be good. Okay, so here we go. Right, and you see immediately that's just one spray. So I'm just going to keep spraying. I'm going to move that one out of the way so I don't spray that too. And you can see as I spray, it's activating the pigment in there, and the more I spray, the more you can see it appears. I just think this is beautiful. I love the yellows that are in there too. Absolutely beautiful. So the more I spray, the wetter I make it, the more it's going to run. So it depends what you're after. This one I've done quite loose. I might actually add some more Pixie Sparkles in. Just add a little bit more. It is really important that whatever you add on, it becomes wet, because the way that the Pixie Sparkles work is that they are activated by water. So I'm loving this little bit here now. Now I've added some more in on top of that water. But you know, this kind of background is entirely what you want it to be. If you want it more vibrant, add more in. If you want it more muted, don't. I am going to actually have a little bit more water spray, because I know there's some of this that's not activated. Now, for me, I think I've said this in the last live, that I like to allow, oh there we go, look at that, look at that. Oh yes, sorry, I do get a little bit carried away. I like to let my backgrounds dry naturally if I can. If you try using wet or even just damp card when you're die cutting, it tends to tear more easily. Your tape will stick to it. So I like to put it to one side to dry. So that's why I always tend to do my backgrounds at the beginning. However, for the live, I have already pre-made mine, but this one I will use another time. So this one's going to go down here to dry. and I am just going to use, I use blank rice paper you can get off of lots of the shopping sites to, it just mops it up. This will dry and this will be able to be used on a mixed media type background. So my background is drying, so once that's dry you can use it. So let's make our base card. So what I have done is, if I get a full-size piece of card you'll be able to see exactly what I mean. Okay, right, here we go. So this is a full A4 sheet of card. So what I've done is I've cut down the length, but I've cut it at, bear with me, at 5 inches. So this across here is 5 inches, okay? I have then scored it on my scoreboard at 7 inches from that end, okay? I'm not folding it at the moment, and already I've got ink all over it, so I'm not folding it because I want to cut this end. This end here is this end here, so I'm going to want to do my first cut with the die here into this white card. Okay, so here's the die. The reason it's cut 5 inches is because that's pretty much the width of this. You can cut it bigger, this, and then trim it down later, but I find it's easier if it's pretty much where I want it to start with. Okay, now I know so that sometimes, and it isn't particularly this die or anything, sometimes the tape will stick, and I don't really want tape to stick here because this is going to be part of my card, so I'm sticking it on this bit here that I know is going to be waste, so I'm getting rid of it. Okay, so cutting it using the Gemini, so I have my base cutting plate, just flip that over, I'm putting this in, I'm putting the cloudy shim, the magnetic, and then my top plate, and I'm just going to feed this through the Gemini, and then I'm going to have my daily stretching to catch it as it comes out the other side. So my arms are not quite long enough, so I have to kind of lean. Here it comes through. Okay, oh, goodness, right, so that's my first cut, and just put that to one side. Just going to remove the tape off, so make sure you can see what I'm seeing. So sometimes, just because I just feel like I'm in my own craft room talking to myself, I forget that you're out there watching. Just pull that bit off. Okay, and you can see it did, my tape did slightly rip that card, but because it's the bit that's coming off, it doesn't matter. So I'm going to pull that off. Now, I don't mind this little bit, I just trim it. Just trim it up like that. If you are particularly worried, you can then trim your card so it's the right length. Okay, so that's now done. I can actually fold my card over and burnish it. Okay, a few little bits stuck in there. They are cut, they're just those really long bits that tend to get stuck. So beautiful first cut for there. Okay, now what I've done for this is literally just one part from my background with the edge pull cut in and another bit here. So I have already pre-cut my pieces from my piece that I did before. So this bit is longer, it's too long, but that's okay because I can work out where I want to put the die, because maybe this is a bit too splodgy there, might want it there, and then this is just another shorter piece for here. Okay, so I need to clean out my die, just give it a quick rub with the brush, that gets pretty much all of it out, just a couple of bits left with the pokey tool. Okay, right, so I would like, I actually quite like that end, so I think I'm going to put it there, and again just tape it down on that bit that's going to be the waist, and we put it back through. Yes we do, make sure you use the cutting mat to cut into. I always, with my Gemini, I always keep a top plate. I never ever cut into. I always just change the bottom one. And I'll even admit, at home, I still have a purple one. Mine's that old. But if you keep the same one at the top all the time, that one doesn't bow, and then it's just the bottom one that needs to be replaced once you've used it for a long time. Ooh, okay, right, so there's this one. Same again. Take the tape off. The waste comes off with it. Just come off with it on that one. And there we go. Now, this line will happen with any kind of border edge die like this. There is nothing that you can do about it. It is just due to the pressure, because it's this part of the die, the pressure pushing down to cut it, it's going to make an imprint. There isn't any way you can avoid it. Now, because this is slightly now got a slight coating on it from our Pixie sparkles, that's the only reason that this is not cut or not fallen out in the same way that the plain stamping card did. It's all cut, it just isn't just dropping out in the same way due to that little coating. There we go.
Pauline would like to know what that roller brush was called.
Oh, this is I don't know what it's called. This is from Crafter's Companion. I think it might be something like a dye cleaning brush, or yeah, but it's a Crafter's Companion one. I'm sorry, I don't know the actual name of it, or what they call it. So this is the bit that's going to go in here. As you can see, when I cut my strip, I cut it slightly smaller so that I have a nice little white border. So I just need to now decide where that's going to cut, where it's going to go in here. And again, I'm very much a eyeball it, mark it, cut it, and most of the time it works. Okay. So that bit now is going to sit there. So when I fold that over, we've got our one that we've cut into the white with the pattern, the colour showing through. We've now got one cut into the colour with the white showing through, and we're going to repeat that for the top here. So all I do again, first of all, clean out my die. Quick. Now I have to admit, there are some dies when you get little bits that I think, oh, I just can't be bothered, but there are ones like this when you get these lovely little stars that I do tend to keep in a pot, because they do make lovely little embellishments for other projects. I'll just push those to the side. What have I got? I've got one little star left, excuse me. One little star left up there, and we're done. Right, so where do I want to go on this one? I quite like this bit, so I'm going to, I think, put it there. So I'm getting some of that in. Again, let's have some more tape. We'll do tape this there, some more tape. There. There. Back through the Gemini. And that's going through. Just get rid of this bits of whatever. There is a box there, I'm not throwing it on the floor, I promise. Oh, and here we go, reaching over, and up we come. Okay, so this aside, plate, and again, we take this off. Ah, I see that one came out a lot easier. Just that long bit again that doesn't want to pop straight out. Another lovely star. Okay, so there we go. I love that I caught that little bit of blue in there. And, oh, that needs to go in there for a minute. And then I just need to decide where I want to cut this. So I tend to turn it over, eyeball where the edge is, and I will cut it out there. Okay, get my trimmer back. Goes. In fact, I'm going to turn it that way. Oh, you can see this. Sometimes when you've got funny little bits on the edge and they're here, it can wobble a bit. So I'm going to move it there, a more stable edge. And I've also noticed I've still got that that little bit in there. Let's get it out. Oh, star. Okay, so we're going to put that there. Get my glue. Oh, do you know, I'm really loving this. It's better than my original one. So, I'm using the Cosmic Shimmer Dries Clear Glue all over the back, and I tend to, with bits like this, I tend to kind of just dab a little bit on the bigger bits, just enough that it's going to hold down. I don't worry about getting all of it, just enough that's going to hold the edge close to the card. Those bits there, and there, that bit in there, and a bit there. Okay, and this, I'm actually butting it right up to this, the crease there. Okay. That's that one down. That now folds over, and then we repeat the process with the smaller one. There we go, just a little dab it in those little bits. There we go. Oh, that was a little bit big, but that would do. If you think you've got any excess, all you need to do is just get a scrap piece of cardboard paper. She says, "Not, I've got paper everywhere and I can't find a scrap piece." Bear with me. And literally just dab it off, and then you can see there's the little bits of glue that come off, and they're not going to then make a big squidgy mess on your card. Okay, there is the third one on there. Okay, so that's the base of the card made, and then all you did for the sentiment is I used the this lovely little Creative Expressions die, and I like to quite often put a shadow on my dies, so I cut it in both a piece of this and in plain white. Now, when I'm doing fine sentiments, I tend to grab hold of it with a pair of tweezers like that, because that's how I'm going to stick it, but then I turn it over and hold it in my other hand, and then with my glue, now you can see that there is far too much glue coming out there, and I'm not too worried about that, because what I will do is, again, on a scrap piece of paper, just blot that off and then place it on. Now, you can't quite see that because it's over the other, but it does give a little bit of a drop shadow. Same with the white one. Turn it over and the glue on the back. Blot that off on. I know it's very near the die. I do apologise for that. It's the only scrap bit I can find, and then that goes over the top for your drop shadow. And there you have it. Sorry, I keep turning it around thinking I need to show the camera, but it's here. So that was the original. This is new. You can see you never get the backgrounds the same, which makes this quite each one will be unique, even if you're sending, you know, lots of them to lots of different people. Okay, excellent. So that's the first Christmas card that we've done. Okay, now the second one is a completely different ball game. It's a little bit more complicated. There are some measurements. I will mention them, and if Barry asks me later, I can write them down as well. And I have pre-cut my card, just sort of to make sure that we get the right measurements. So this is a card, our diamond easel card. Of course, it's a card. Just move the glue out of the way. Okay, we are going to make. Oh, I'm doing it again. I'm sorry. I keep thinking I've got to show the camera, but there's one up there. So we're going to make this yellowy, shimmery gold card ourselves in a moment, and then the rest comes from the embossing folder and some gold card. But it's the shape of the card that we need to just go through. So you need to cut a piece of card the width of a whole A4 sheet, so the width, and then it needs to be 5 5/8 deep. 5 5/8. So I have got it written down. I then need my scoreboard, and I need to make sure I'm on the inches side. I need to score at 2 7/8 from that end, and I'm going to turn it all the way around, and I'm going to score at 2 7/8 from that end. Okay, put my scoreboard away there. Okay, and I'm going to fold them over and burnish, and fold it over and burnish. Okay, right, so I have now the basis of the easel, but not the diamond shape. So what I need now are 2 4-inch squares. 2 4-inch squares. Okay, I'm just going to make sure I'm getting this the right way around. Okay, so before, as you can see, that those measurements mean that this square fits completely onto that bottom flap. Okay, and I'm going to stick that straight on. I'm just going to put glue on half and stick that straight on, and that's the base part of the card. Okay. And then I have my other 4-inch square, and I do apologise, my mat is quite mucky, so I'm getting bits on it. And this one will stick here. Now at this point you do have a choice. I quite like leaving this bit on, but you could, if you wanted to, cut those 2 bits off, so you wouldn't have this and you wouldn't have this, and you'd just have this lovely diamond. You just have this lovely diamond bit pointing down. That's a personal choice, but that is how you get your diamond shape. So I am going to just carry on and do that. Okay. Right. So that's our base card. We have our base card done now, and I'm going to put that across to one side. Okay. What I'm going to show you now is how to make this sort of the yellowy shimmery gold card, and it's really quite straightforward. You need a piece of white stamping card, and I am using 2 lovely Cosmic Shimmer products here. I've got the pearlescent watercolour ink, and the colour is Golden Sunrise, and I have the Pixie Sparkle highlights. Now these are slightly different to the Pixie Sparkles in that the Pixie Sparkles, they have the sparkle, but they also have a pigment, a colour in. So when you saw me spray the last one, you saw the greens and the yellows and the blues. This is just purely the sparkle. So this one is a gold sparkle, which I will just add over the top of the yellow. So I'm just going to grab my little pot, which I've already got a few bits of ink in. These are great. I love these little toppers. I know I've mentioned this before if you've watched the previous one. They have these lovely little droppers and this lovely little button here which pushes it out, and if you put it in, it sucks it up. Makes it really easy to get the ink in and out of the bottle. So I'm just going to drop some into my in fact I'm going to do it in a separate one, because I can see I've managed to get some blue ink in that pot, and I don't really want green. So I'm going to have a nice new clean one. Okay, we're going to just do literally a wet on wet technique. So I've got some clean water. Surprisingly it is clean this time. I don't know if I've said clean before. It's not been quite clean, but it is clean-ish, possibly. Okay, and all I'm going to do is I'm literally going to spread the water with my brush. I'm not spraying it because I don't want it so damp. Oh, look, there we go. Picked up some red from somewhere that was on either my brush or my thing. And then I'm literally going to take some of the yellow, and depending on how dark you want it is how much you apply. I kind of don't want it too bright yellow. I kind of want quite a pale yellow. So a bit more over here. It does need to have some water there, because just like the Pixie sparkles, the Pixie Sparkle highlights, the mica is activated by water. So if you don't activate it with the water, it will brush off when it's dry. So the idea is you just literally tap on the bottom We're getting the sparkle. I don't know if the camera's picking it up or not. Yes, brilliant. Okay, it is. Okay, now you can be. This is when I watched Jamie do this, because I thought I better check I'm doing it right. He was showing me like this nice little tap, which is lovely. But I'm a bit impatient, so I tend to use it a bit more like a salt and pepper shaker. It depends how much you want, and you can. I can see where I've been and where I haven't been. Yeah, I can see where I've been, I can see where I haven't, I can see how much more I would like. So I'm going to leave it at that. I am going to give it a very fine mist. I can find one that's got any water left. No. I got one over here that's got water. I've seen used so much water today. Yay! Right, I'm just going to literally give it a fine mist to make sure that I have got all of that lovely sparkle in water. Okay, now I am going to put that to one side to dry, and in lovely Blue Peter fashion, I do have one I did earlier. But before I bring it in, I am going to clean up my mess. So have we got lots of people this afternoon, or
in the 20s again? Yeah.
Ooh,
Not quite as many as earlier, but still working.
Excellent. Okay, so here is the piece that I did earlier. This one's a little bit darker, but the shimmer is there from that beautiful Pixie Pixie Sparkle highlights. Okay, so if I get my base card back in, here we go. I have pre-cut 2 gold mats for the 2 here, which I'm going to stick on now. But I want to obviously put the gold also into these triangular bits, and I'm going to show you a way to do that in a moment. So it's that one stuck in. This is the gold card I'm using is the Creative Expressions Foundation's gold mirror card. It's a lovely gold, not sort of a brassy gold, it's a nice one. Okay, so here we go. So that's stuck on. Now, what I've done is I've cut one strip, and I've cut one strip that is pretty much the same as one of these parts that I scored earlier. Just slightly smaller, as if I was doing a mat and layer in that whole area. Okay, so if you cut that, then if you, however wide you've cut it, find the midpoint. Okay, and I'm just going to cut it in half. Ugh, if I can get it to go in, my fingers are all sticky. I'm just going to cut that straight down in half, and then I'm going to cut each of these in half. So I'm lining up, I'm hoping that's being picked up by the camera, I'm lining up the corner here, and I'm lining up the corner here, and I'm cutting it into 2 triangles, and I will do the same on this one. So line up the corner here, line up the corner here, and cut. Okay. It saves a lot of faffy measuring for the triangles. Now these, if I've done it right, let's get it up the right way, these will now fit in here. Okay, you can see the way they're cut, it leaves me a nice white border. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to stick those down. That is the simplest way to create the correct shape for those corners, because otherwise if you try measuring, it's an almost impossible task. Almost impossible task. I'm just going to push that in a little bit to get the measurements accurate. I'm sure there is a real mathematical reason for this working. I'm not really too worried what it is, as long as it works. Okay, and then these 2 will fit here. Okay, this one will go in here, And they kind of butt right up against the diamond that we put on earlier. I know I'm getting mucky, sticky fingers over my mirror card, and I do apologise about that. Now, okay, so this one's not fitting, and it's probably because I can see I've not lined this edge up properly. So, in an ideal world, I'd probably go back and trim that, but I'm just going to go with it for now. You can see it's ended up quite close here and quite close here because I have not lined up my original diamond very well. It will still look fine though. It will still look fine. So if I put it forward, you can see that's where we're at so far with my mucky fingers on it. I'm sorry. So the next thing we need to do is to cut our parts for the top. So I'm going to lie my card down on top of the gold bit. That's where it's going to go. Pencil. And I'm going to just like, ooh, eyeball it there. Eyeball it, ooh, just slightly there. And there's my top bit. Oops. Okay. So that's going to be there, and because this one should be the same size, I'm just going to use this piece of card again because it will be the same depth, and I will cut this little bit off. So there's will be my 2 squares. I'm really conscious that my nails are disgusting with all the ink that I've been using. I apologise for that. So that one's going to go there, and that one's going to go there. To do these ones, we do it in exactly the same way as we did. I think I've cut a piece already, but I haven't. We do it in exactly the same way. Is that okay then?
Yes.
So I'm going to measure a piece that will fit. If I do it that way, that will fit in here. I'm probably going to need to be a bit smaller than that to go inside the gold. So I'm going to cut another. I am sure I did this piece somewhere. Oh yes, it's on the floor. I know I'd already measured it. Here we go. So had already cut my piece. So it will fit on top here. I've measured my halfway. I'm going to trim that down, cut that in half, and then cut my triangles again. One lot, and 2 lots. Okay. So these are now going to stick on top of my triangles on here. One. That's not been cut very well. I do apologise. We're going to continue.
Maria has commented saying that mucky hands are a sign of a busy craft.
Ah, good, good. It usually eventually goes when you wash your hair. I don't know what it is in shampoo, but that removes it all. But yeah, it sticks around until you've washed your hair. Right, that one's done, and then we'll do the top bits here. Yeah, again, this I think the trimmer's not quite caught that properly, but we will persevere. One in there and one in there. Okay. So there we go. Those are our corners sorted. They are by no means perfect this afternoon. I do apologise. A little bit more measuring would probably have helped, but you get the idea. So for these 2 bits, we are going to emboss them with the 3D embossing folder, the Nelly Sneller one. Now, you need to make sure when you're embossing that this is a 3D one, so it's going to be nice and deep. You need to make sure you've got it up the right way for the side of your card. So I know that I want it to be embossed on this side, so I'm just checking here that I can feel the indentations, so that when this goes over, it will be pushed up into the card and embossed. So the other thing I'm doing is I'm just checking if I like where this is, in order to have the best sort of outcome from the folder. I'm just fiddling around with it a little bit. So I've got a little bit of it touching all the way around. And for this folder, this type of folder in the Gemini, I use the cutting plate, I use the magnetic shim, and I use the cloudy one. Just the cloudy one is not enough pressure, so the magnetic shim just gives it that extra little bit of pressure to get the depth in.
Maria commented saying cheap dandruff shampoo is best for cleaning up all of your hands.
Oh, okay. I'll stop using my expensive stuff then. Cheap dandruff shampoo. I'll just put that on my shopping list. Thank you. Okay, so there's one. There's one from at the top. Ooh, something's wet there. Who knows what that is? So there's one there. And then my second one, do exactly the same. Check that I've got the folder the right way up. Close it down. Have a fiddle. Yep, that will do. I think, I don't know about dandruff shampoo. I think I need anti-molting shampoo. I think I'm molting all over, all over the equipment as well. Put that through. That felt too easy. That felt like I didn't have everything in there. Let's check. Oh, yeah. I really am going to have to grow some arms. Oh no, it was fine. It's fine. Okay, there we go. So I now have my two pieces for my top and my bottom, so I'm going to stick those on. Now, while I'm doing this, if you look at the card to the left of me, the finished one, all I have done to embellish that is I have embossed the folder onto the gold mirror card, and I have embossed the folder onto plain white card. And then I have chosen some of the bits of holly to fussy cut. So I've embossed it onto white, I've embossed it onto gold, and then I've had a look to see, right, which ones are great for fussy cutting. So this one here, you can see it's complete, it's got all its points. This one slightly smaller, this one here as well. So what I chose to do was to fussy cut this one out, and the same in white, and I've shadowed them together like that. That's this piece here. And then I also did the same. Oh yeah, there it is. I chose the smaller bit, I think, which bit, that bit there. So I've already fussy cut it out in white, and I'll just fussy cut it out with the gold. These are, when I first decided to do this, I was thinking, oh, have I made a rod for my own back here with all this fussy cutting? But actually, these are so easy to cut. They've got really defined lines, and they're just literally, if you do one curve at a time, you go around, and literally then just cut it out and go back in. And this way, you're also getting a really lovely defined point to each part of the holly. Back out on that one. Okay. So you don't need to keep going. I found that by just doing each little indentation at a time, you're going to get this lovely sharp point like you do on holly, naturally. Now, this card, it can be created in any colour that you like. If you know someone who's got a particular Christmas colour scheme. I used to have a friend who had, I still have a friend who used to be blues, used to do blue for Christmas. So if I was to make this card for her, I would do it all in blues. So it can be adapted. You can do it traditional. I mean, the folder also lends itself to being painted. Beautiful greens and reds. So almost on this. And this little one is what I'm going to use as my stopper. Now on the original I also used a punch to do a whole a circle, and I've forgotten my punch, so we're just going to go with the piece of holly as the stopper. Okay, so there's my large one, and then just like I did with this, just going to put a bit of glue on the back and just shadow it. Oh, is that the right way? Oh well, it will do. Shadow it a little bit, so you see a little bit of the white and the gold. Okay. The sentiment It's lovely. It's the Creative Expressions Sue Wilson Festive Collection. I love the size of these, and they're so clear, and they cut so beautifully. I have already pre-cut these because I don't think you really need to sit and watch me cutting out all of the dies. So yeah, again, I'm just going to shadow them. So literally blobs of blue on the back of the gold. There we go. And then just drop it off slightly so you've got the shadow. I always tend to do, well, I say that, with smaller ones, smaller dies, I tend to do it on the card because it's not always easy to get the top one in the right position on the bottom. But when you've got really lovely sized dies like this one, it's really easy to do. So and then you can place it when you finish up. Ooh, come on. Let's put that on there. Now I've gone for Merry Christmas this time. I went for Happy Christmas last time, but I thought I'd show you what the Merry looked like. So, okay, let's finish assembling. Just put that one to one side. I have already done my bow. It's just, you know, a combination of different ribbons, and I'm going to fix that on with some glue gel. I always find putting ribbons on with glue gel is a lot easier. So a blob of glue gel, and just place it into that blob, and then I'm just going to shape slightly my holly with my fingers just to give it a bit more dimension, and then I'm going to put another blob on top, and then I'm going to place my holly there. Okay. I'm going to glue my Christmas on. It's a lovely big sentiment. It fits perfectly across the bottom of this card. If you had chosen to cut that off, this sentiment die is too big for it. But I'm sure you could find another smaller one that fits beautifully across the bottom there. And our Merry above it. There. And our final thing is our little stopper at the bottom, and again I would use 3D glue gel in order to raise it up. Just give it a little bit, and I always sort of give myself a little bit of a, where's it going to go? I think we put it there, glue there, and stick this on the top. Just make sure it's raised up, and there we have our diamond easel card. So it's been really great fun today, and I hope, you know, these two cards, if I find the other one, where did I put the other one? Bring it back in. Give you some more ideas for your Christmas stash, and some lovely products from Creative Expression with those pixie powders. I'm absolutely in love with those pixie sparkles. So, yeah, thank you for watching, and hopefully we'll be back. If Barry lets me, I'll be back on your screen sometime soon. Take care.
It was great to have you. Any questions anybody has, feel free to stick around. We'll keep some music playing and we'll answer as many questions as we can.
Absolutely. Thank you.